You're welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to be looking at the types of a contract. So we have different types of a contract, and we are going to be looking at each of them one by one. The first type of contract we have is a simple contract. So this contract need not be in any form. It may be in writing or agreed orally, or even be implied from the conduct of the parties. So this contract can be written, it can be spoken, or implied by actions. For example, buying goods from a shop, you pay and the seller gives you the item. So that is a simple contract. We have the second one, which is specialty contracts. So these are contracts under seal. They must be executed in a prescribed form. They include gratuitous promises, conveyances of leases, and land etc. So these contracts can also be classified in terms of their validity as valid contract, void, and then voidable. So for specialty contracts, these contracts must follow a formal process and they often require a seal. For example, a land sale agreement must be in writing and it must be signed. So those are specialty contracts. Then we have a valid contract. A valid contract is an agreement which is binding and enforceable. So a valid contract is legally binding and can be enforced in court. For example, a signed employment contract between a company and an employee is a valid contract and can be enforced in court. Then we have a voidable contract. Voidable means valid until it is avoided. So when a contract is voidable, the law will allow one of the parties to withdraw from it if he or she wishes. That is a voidable contract. So a voidable contract is like a contract that is valid but can be cancelled by one party. For example, a contract signed under pressure can be voided by the affected party. That is a voidable contract. So it is valid until it is avoided. Then we have a void contract. Contract is an agreement that has no legal effect and cannot be enforced by law. This means that from the beginning, the contract is considered invalid. And reasons why a contract may be void, maybe it involves an illegal act, maybe one of the party lacks the legal ability to enter into a contract, maybe the terms of the contract are unclear, maybe it is impossible to perform the contract, or if both parties make fundamental mistake about the contract is subject. So there are very many reasons that can make the contract void or invalid. Then another type of contract we have is the illegal contracts. So illegal contracts, as you hear illegal, it is something that is not lawful. So these are contracts that involve a criminal element. They cannot be enforced in a court of law. For example, a contract to commit a crime, a contract to kill someone, a contract to transport drugs. So illegal contracts involve an unlawful act and cannot be enforced. For example, an agreement to smuggle goods across borders, that is illegal. So in case the other person doesn't act accordingly, there is nowhere you're going to report them because that is an illegal contract. Then we have bilateral contract. This is a contract that creates binding obligations on both parties to the contract. So in this contract, both parties have legal obligations. For example, a contract where a contractor agrees to build a house and the owner agrees to pay. So every party has an obligation. So for bilateral contract, it creates binding obligations on both parties of the contract. The last one is the unilateral contract. So this is a contract that creates binding obligations on one of the parties only. So for bilateral, it creates binding obligations on two parties. The unilateral creates binding obligations on only one party. For example, promising a reward to whoever finds your lost item. So nobody is under the obligation to look for that item. But if the item is found, there is an obligation to give the promised reward. So that is a unilateral contract. Yeah. So it creates binding obligations on only one party. Yeah, so those are the types of a contract. Thanks for watching.